So here we go. Cara Dune. Love The Mandalorian. Don't know about you guys. Absolutely love it. I'm really into the new docu-series gallery. I mean, that first one was so good. You can go behind the scenes with the different directors. It was like the perfect setup for that docu-series. So I'm all in on that. I can't wait to see more. I just want to kind of let her hair just be a little wispy around here. We can get some little nice broken lid there. We can get some little curves going. You can tell with my blue pencil I was really working over the likeness, just trying to get it down. You know, she's got such a distinctive look. I want to try to do it justice. Alright, we'll see if this pencil is going to hold up or if we have to switch to a different one. Ooh, Static Shock. That was a good character. I remember that. That's been a while. But yeah, that was a great character. Alright, so I just kind of want the hair to like come down here and have like a little curl. And then just kind of meld into some of the shadows and stuff down here. And then she's got her shoulder armor. Man, I forgot about Static Shock. What was the other one around that time? Freakazoid? There was some, for a while, just some really interesting and creative original characters coming out. And don't get me wrong, I love the classic characters. It just seems like I can't think of the last time we had like a super original character. So the plan here is to just let most of her hair, like a little bit of highlights at the top, and then go into just shadow, and then that'll blend into like the shadow from her jaw and everything, and just really help like frame the face in some darkness. Oh, hi Florida Villainy, thank you. We just drew Invincible from Image Comics, and I'm working on Cara Dune from The Mandalorian right now. So just getting started on Cara Dune. And obviously she's one of the badass female characters in the Star Wars universe, so really fun to have the opportunity to draw her today. I'm just trying to go like really super graphic style on her face, like just really bold light and shadow areas to start with, and then we can get in and you know, add some gray values and soften things up as needed. Thank you, Fleur. I hope things are going well for you now that you're survived your, I mean, I guess it's technically not graduation day yet, but you passed, so that's good news. And anyone else who's on chat right now or listening, Florida Villainy has a really great channel here, so be sure to follow her. She does art and games and cocktail tea party kind of things, all kinds of good stuff. Hey Evan, good to see you. Thanks for joining. We already finished a superhero character, but we're just getting started on Cara Dune right now. So this is sort of the main event today, and then we're going to end with a Baby Yoda. Another Baby Yoda. Graduation's on Monday. Oh, that's good to hear, Fleur. Congratulations to you. Well deserved, well earned. So just working out some of the details here, but we'll probably, you know, just do the rough outline and then go back with the pen and try to get those face details looking good before I go any farther. Because really, if the face doesn't work out, there's no point. Right, it's all about the face. And so she's got this like awesome super armor. And so it's like an open neck thing here. And then like the shirt comes and then all the armor. And so we can sort of work that out. It's kind of nice how they took like her shock trooper armor and, you know, pieces of it are missing and she's added to and taken away and just created this like unique look, which is kind of cool. So you guys watching the Mandalorian docuseries? I'm really excited for the episode where they go behind the scenes on those video walls and how they're doing all the backgrounds and everything. And I've been trying to catch the prop culture show too, but I've only seen one of those so far. But I've had the time to. I'm all caught up on Clone Wars. It was so awesome. I mean, I know they're not going to do another season, but if they did, I'd be all in for it. That's for sure. You're trying to catch up on Clone Wars, Mbop? Yeah, I hear you. Well, it's worth catching up on. I mean, this whole final season was good, but I think the final 4 episodes, it's like a 4-parter. I mean, that was just amazing. It was like a whole new level of storytelling for that show, and just really good. And it really just changed the way I felt about some of the characters, so that's how you know they did a good job. But I did finally finish up Westworld, and that was worth the wait. It was a cool season. I think the next to last episode maybe was more action-packed than the finale, but the after credits on the finale were kind of worth it. You're in season 3, so you have a ways to go. Yeah, it's worth it. I know a couple people went back and started from scratch. I need to, because, you know, I would have seen all those episodes when they were new, but I haven't gone back and watched them since, so it's definitely something I plan to do, is just watch them all over. And not just, I mean, you know, for the stories, but also to see how, like, the animation changed over the years and everything, because, I mean, clearly the technology got better, and, you know, just the artisans themselves got better, so it's definitely worth it. So maybe just give her like a couple of like wispy hairs coming through here, so it'll all kind of work together in the end. But most of this is just going to be filled in with black. I think maybe like a little bit of a hair highlight on the top of her head. Something like that. We can just do some little streaky hairlines in there. And I think once we fill that in with black, it'll hold up and look okay. Yeah, right, the animation change. I'm with you, Fleur. I mean the first couple of seasons were okay, but to go back and watch them now, you can really see how I don't know, primitive is too strong of a word, but how less complicated or basic or something, whatever the word is I'm looking for, but it's definitely improved. I mean, it's become more cinematic, and the motion and the acting of the characters and everything. I mean, some of the early seasons, they looked so much like puppets in a way. And, I mean, it didn't really detract from it. And I know the Thunderbirds kind of look is what they were going for, but it feels like, you know, once it got a few seasons in, it really started to develop its own unique style and just get better and better. Alright, so just really imagining like super dark shadow on her face here. So like the eyebrow, the shadow under the eyebrow, and the kind of the area around the eyes just all becomes just one dark area like that. And I think that'll give us that sort of like 1,000-yard stare badass look that we're going for. Because kind of when it comes to Cara Dune, I don't want to do anything like dainty or I want everything to be sort of like big and bold, just like she is, so that the kind of the style of the inks make a statement about who she is. And just a hint of the nostrils. And then the upper lip, we can do the same thing and just go like super bold with that. And that way, whatever shading we do with her face, it'll be anchored by that, you know. So, we were talking about Clone Wars. Did anybody catch Rebels or Resistance? You know, obviously Rebels really is connected to Clone Wars, where Resistance kind of stands on its own, but I know some people are fans of one and not the other, and some people love them all. But I'd love to hear what you guys have to think about it. I kind of got into Resistance the second season. The first season was just kind of okay for me. And then the second season, when they really tied it into the new, like the Skywalker saga, and you know, they really tied it into Poe and BB-8, and it just lots more of the First Order versus the Resistance and action and cloak and dagger, and it really started to feel, you know, like Star Wars. It felt like Star Wars, you know. And I think the first season was just sort of interesting on its own as its own thing, but I give them credit for not tying everything in, you know, to what's come before. But that said, that once they did tie it in, it just all clicked and it became so much better. So I don't know if that was a pre-planned decision. They always knew they were going to do that, or if after the first season they decided they needed to do that. But the second season was just like so good, and just so action-packed, and space battles and tie-ins to the movies. It's next on your list to watch. Yeah, right. Season 2 started to click and then it was done. I don't know the details. I mean, I could ask, but kind of what I always assumed was that show was originally made for Disney XD, and then they dumped it onto Disney Channel. And then it seems like by the time they were making their plans for Disney Plus, they probably already knew they were going to do Mandalorian and they were going to bring Clone Wars back. And so I don't know if they just made the decision to kill it, or if maybe, you know, Filoni or somebody didn't feel like they could do all of the shows, like there wasn't enough time in the day kind of thing. I don't know, but it is one of those shows that, like you said, it just seems like as soon as it was clicking and sort of found its audience, it was over, which is kind of unfortunate. And it doesn't seem like it was around long enough to have enough people shouting about it to bring it back or anything like that. And I get that a lot of people didn't have Disney XD, so more people probably saw the second season than saw the first season. But I don't even know what all services Disney XD is on, but my wife plays a lot of tennis, and so she's got some big package on her cable, and so she can get all the tennis channels and stuff and sports channels. And I think because of that package, we get all the little variations on the Disney and animation stuff. Although we don't get Boomerang. I miss that. I miss being able to watch all those Hanna-Barbera shows whenever I want. Like Space Ghost and some of those Herculoids, some of those classic like 60s Hanna-Barbera cartoons. Alright, so there's the basic ink outline. So we're just going to take the black marker. So yeah, this one's just the plain old black. And we'll start to do the fills. And I know I've said it before, but this black is pretty good, but I think that their jet black is even better. It seems to match the color of the brush pen a little bit more nicely. And I just think it just looks better. So I don't really know what the difference is in the sort of the mix that they make, but the jet black, when I have my choice, I get that one, but it seems hard to find right now. A lot of art supplies are hard to find. And I swear I get emails from like Michaels every day, and they're like, order from us now and pick it up at our store, and then whatever art supplies I try to put in the cart, they're like, that's not available at your store. That's not available online. I'm just like, okay, I give up. Amazon wins and gets my money again. You're terrible with marker coloring. You know, I'm not the best at it, but luckily my style is like pretty harsh color breaks, so I'm not doing a bunch of blending or anything. I was watching Joe Caroni's channel, and if you guys aren't following him, you should be. But he's like the Jedi Master of Star Wars art, and he's got some giant, you know, kit of every shade of gray possible, and the blending and all that stuff, and he does a really nice job. I saw that he picked up they're colored pencils, but they're the same gray values as the markers, and using those to do some like finishes and details, and I was really impressed with that. So I don't plan on like emulating his style or anything, but I may pick those up just to play with them and see if that might be a way to add a little bit extra detail to some of these, especially things like the eyes and the nose and the mouth and everything. I hate blocking the drawing, but I don't really want to drag my hand through her face while I'm shading in all this hair. But you know, you're saying you didn't like using the markers. I'll be honest, like what I really like is to watercolor everything. When I was doing sketch cards, I would do a lot of them in watercolor, or sometimes even like a watered down acrylic paints, and that's just so natural for me that that's what I like to do. But for these sketch commissions, I'd have to charge like, I don't know, not 10 times as much, but a significant amount more to like hand paint them all in watercolor. And it would probably take several episodes to do. I did notice one of the things that Joe was doing is he'll pencil his cover on one stream, and then he'll ink it on another stream, and then he'll do the markers on a third stream, and then maybe even take a fourth stream to do the final details. And it's not a bad idea. I mean, I want to keep things entertaining for you guys, but it's definitely one of the challenging things is trying to put the markers down before the pens have all dried, and so his way definitely allows for the pens to dry, which is nice. But yeah, all the art technique stuff, I mean, that's things we can talk about forever, right, Evan? But when I was a kid, I got the nickname Marker Happy because I'd always have like colors of markers all over my fingers and stuff, because at school I'd just be coloring stuff and drawing all the time. I mean, if I was supposed to be paying attention in class, I was usually drawing or coloring or painting or something, and so my fingers were always stained with magic marker or something else. And so I think around second grade, they started calling me Marker Happy, and that pretty much stuck all the way through elementary school. I think one of the other reasons I like to paint versus markers is the nice marker sets are just so expensive. And I mean, I've seen people do beautiful work with them, but the kind of practical side of my brain is like, I can just get like, 6 or 8 paints, and I can just mix all those colors myself. But that's my bad. That's me not having that experience that I could be having. So sometimes as artists we get stubborn, right? We miss out on some of those opportunities because we're being stubborn. So there's a few little streaks in here I probably need to touch up, but we can keep moving forward. I can pick those up later. A lot of artists do that. Yeah. What's your preferred technique, Fleur? Is it all digital? I mean, that's kind of my preferred. But obviously, if we're doing convention sketches and things, you've got to have a tool that you like. Pencils or markers or something. I knew one person who carried around a really nice set of colored pencils to all the cons, and they did that. And they were so good. I mean, when you meet an artist who's really good at a certain medium, it's a treat, to see what they do. Look at this. So the grain of the paper, look at what a difference this makes. If I'm moving horizontal, how much nicer this is filling than when I was doing like little vertical moves. So something about the grain of this vellum paper and the marker. So now I really have to go back and touch that up. But I can do that off cam. You guys don't want to wait to watch that again. Boring. Well, I don't know how it is where you guys live, but we are up well into the triple digits here in the Phoenix area now. So my afternoon walks have become morning walks, and the last like 4 days in a row I've seen the same coyote near one of the parks in our neighborhood. We see him out here quite a bit, but usually don't see him kind of hanging out in the same area over and over again. But our parks are closed, or the playground equipments are closed because of the lockdown, and so they're all roped off and stuff. And I think quite a bit of wildlife has moved into the playgrounds. I keep seeing the coyote over there in the mornings, usually between like 5:30 and 6 o'clock or something. Did I name the coyote? No. I probably should, but don't want to get too attached. Flora wants to learn oil painting. Yeah, that's how I started. Was as a kid, I grew up in this like super religious household, and I could only watch PBS or Christian television, and so PBS won out for me a lot. And so I grew up watching like William Alexander and Bob Ross, and we didn't have any money, but my mother was like the queen of the yard sales and garage sales and stuff, and so I was able to get like a pretty nice, in hindsight, a really nice oil paint set for probably just a couple of dollars when I was a kid. And I'd go to our Walmart, which was like the only store we had, and they'd have the Walter Foster art books and William Alexander paint brushes and stuff, and so I'd watch the PBS show and just kind of taught myself to paint. It was a lot of fun. I'm not the best at it, but it was definitely sort of like the start of all this, the foundation. And my little hometown really didn't have too much in the way of art education, so I just took every art class I could and tried to learn what I could until I went to school. But yeah, I would say if you're interested in oil painting, unless you just really want to paint with oils, just go for acrylics. It's just such a less mess and no smell and easier to clean up, and you don't have to keep flammable linseed oil around all the time and everything. It doesn't take as long to dry. But that said, I mean, there's something special about oil paints too. All right, so I think that's our like main black fills, and so we can grab some markers and start doing some shading here. And I don't know if you guys can hear it over the mic or not, but my neighbor that I complain about using his leaf blower every day, he's out there right now. So I don't know if he's bored or he's just like really into his yard work, but every day he spends about 45 minutes to an hour, it seems like. Sometime between noon and 2 my time, he'll be out there with the leaf blower going and just kind of getting crazy with it. All right, how dark of a shadow do we want to do on her face? I'm debating 30 or 40%. Let's see what these look like. You can't hear it. Well, that's good. That's good. Some days he gets really loud, but hopefully not today. Never really took any art classes except for the basic ones. Just practice and watch tutorials. Yeah. I mean, I went to school for fine art, and I took years of drawing and painting. But then there wasn't any sort of like digital stuff in college yet, and so I taught myself Photoshop, and that's been like a lifelong. I mean, I was in the right place at the right time. Let's put it that way. So I was there with the skills when the publishers needed it. So definitely nothing wrong with teaching yourself some things, and as you know, we can always get better. And there's so many good Twitch streams and YouTube tutorials and online classes. I mean, there's just so many opportunities to learn now that didn't exist in the past. It just makes it like anything you want to learn, right? Anything. Not even just art. Anything you want to learn, it's possible. That doesn't mean you'll be great at it, but everything takes practice. I mean, I always joke that I meet so many people who say they want to work in comics, but what I notice is a lot of them don't actually want to do the work, you know? Hey Dutch, good to see you. And if all the people that said that they wanted to work in comics actually did put forth the effort, you know, there would just be a lot more people that could work in comics. But unfortunately, there's a lot of people who just, you know, they want to sit back. I had a friend, super talented artist, like just I would kill to have 1/1000th of his natural ability. But he's the kind of person to just, you know, sit back and draw what he wants to draw when he wants to draw it, and never put forth any effort, never try to communicate with anybody or reach out to anybody. But also the first person to complain, like, well, how come DC or Marvel doesn't call me? How come they don't have me on this project? I'm like, they don't know who you are. You've never done anything. You've never self-published. You've never tried to do a Kickstarter. You've never done anything to show off your artwork or to try to get out in front of people. And I think that unfortunately, there's a lot of people that fall into that category, that have talent, but they just don't have the grit or gumption or whatever you want to call it to get out there, you know? Yeah, it's a two-way street. And you know, the other thing is that talent is only part of it. And Dutch, you know this, and Flora, you know this for sure. And oh, hey, Bazooka Joe, I'm sorry if I ignored you there. The chat was moving so fast, but thank you for watching. You know, having the talent and the skill, it'll open a lot of doors, but it's what you do after those doors open that make a difference. And so many people, you know, are bad at communication or don't follow up with their editor or can't get their projects in on time, and they blow all their deadlines. And I mean, all it takes is one or two of those, and they don't ever want to work with you again. So just like there's just so many people that probably have amazing talents, but for whatever reason they just can't seem to do the work. All right, so I think we'll take the same gray value and let's just come up with some shading for the neck here. This collar could be casting a little bit of shadow, maybe something like that. It really does make a difference communicating, networking, and collaborating. Boy, you're right. And I have to tell you, I'm so new to Twitch, and I'm still figuring out a lot of things, but when I see like how you have your channel set up and some other people, it's really inspiring because there's clearly so much more that can be done to reach fans, so I have a ton to learn there, and I can see where, like a lot of things, there's probably people who set up their channel and turn it on and they're like, well, how come nobody comes and sees me? But they're probably not putting forth the same amount of effort that you are, or Dutch is, or someone else. All right, so then we've got this collar here, and we've got this black shadow, but I think we could have a little bit of like gray shadow kind of onto her neck like that too. And that way we start to get like the length of the neck there. Starts to look a little bit more long and lean. Yeah, that's not too bad. So what are we using here? The 30%? So I think I might jump up to 40 and do some of the darker areas of the armor. And then we might go back with a lighter value on the face and clean it up some more. Yeah, deadlines. Right? Yeah, they miss their deadlines and then complain about not having work. I'm having to tell people that all the time. I'm like, well, it reminds me of a story. So, I don't know if this is true or not, but I think when I was in school and we learned about American history, there was a lesson on the Golden Gate Bridge in San Diego. And the lesson was basically that there's a bunch of workers on the far side of the bridge, on the north side, and they're working on the foundations and putting in the steel girders, and the bridge isn't connected yet, right? They're workers on both sides. And some of these workers were complaining the weather's not good enough, and the food's not good enough, and the money's not good enough, and nothing was good enough. And I'm all for the worker, don't get me wrong, but that's not the point of this particular story. And so the foreman comes over and says, well, this bridge has to be built by a certain date. And he points across the water to the San Francisco side. And he says, if you look across the water, he's like, there's 1,000 people waiting for one of you to quit or to die or to give up or whatever it is, right? There's 1,000 people waiting for you to just fail in any way, shape, or form. And the minute you do, they're ready to pounce and take away your job. And that story always really left a lasting impression on me. I probably heard that in middle school or high school, but it really impacted me. And whether it's comic books or just about any other career you can think of, that's true, right? Is that there is a ton of people that are just waiting for you to make a misstep. Because you are replaceable, and I am replaceable, right? We're all replaceable, and that's sad and that's unfortunate, but it's reality. And so the number one thing we can do is just show up, right? Show up every day and be ready to be creative and be ready to make a good impression and be ready to collaborate and be ready to be a team player and all that. Like, showing up is so important. And then the next part is do the work. Make the deadlines. Make that other person look good. That editor, that boss, that whoever. Make their life easier. Make them look good. And that will win them over more than anything. Because if you've just made their job easier, that means they're going to want to work with you again and again and again. So, I don't know. That really, really made an impression on me. Let's see, Flora, what'd you say there? You get the question all the time. Twitch is a networking social platform. You can't just show up and expect people to watch. Yeah, I think that's true. Oh, the organic growth. Oh, that's good to know. That's good to know. Well, I'm still wrestling with getting past the. I need to get the 50 followers before I can move on to the next level. And I thought it would be easier than it is, but I get it. My stream's not for everybody, and I need to do a lot of refinement and work to it. But I'm learning. I'm inspired by you and others, and I'm seeing some of what's possible, things I didn't even know about. So hopefully I can take the time and learn more of those lessons and apply them. That's the goal anyway. All right, so I'm going to grab the 20%. No, it's upside down. There we go, 20%. And I'm trying to decide on the face if I want to do 20 or 10. Maybe we'll do 10. And then we can use the 20 for some of the costume details. Yeah, I think 10's fine. So we just want to do a little bit of light shading with this 10%, just to bring out a few more details and help the lightness a little bit. And she's got such a distinctive likeness anyway that I don't think it takes too much. But anything we can do to help, right? And then I probably have to go back and add some detail to her hair and the armor. But we're making progress now. This has been a fun one. It's my first time drawing her. And she's such a badass character on the show that I've kind of really been looking forward to this one. So it's a treat for me. I think I want there to be like a little highlight on the lip there. That. And we can get that cheek going. Oh, okay. Good to see you, Evan. Talk to you later. I know I owe you some sort of helpful tutorial stuff. I'm trying to get to that on my list, but I will contact you when it's ready. Have a good one, Evan. So here we go with Cara. Well, I'll tell you what, Floor, when it comes to Twitch, I'm real impressed with how well you are interacting with your audience, and I saw some of the stuff you have set up, some of the stickers and different things. And I don't even really know what all that is yet, but I can tell that it's good for the audience. So that's the important thing. Bye, Evan. See you soon. I'm surprised we haven't seen Decidius on here today. He and his daughter usually pop in for a little while. Maybe we'll see them in a bit. Who knows? And no Yoda Mom today either. Maybe she'll come just in time for the baby Yoda, since we know that's her favorite anyway. Alright, so what we got here, the 10 or the 20? Let's get rid of this 10. Let's get the 20. And the 20, and we'll do just a little bit more detail on the armor here. Yeah, something like that. And we don't really need too much going on this chest plate. It's really kind of in the light, so we just need some shadow underneath these little embossed areas that are on there. Something like that. Maybe just a little extra on these corners. Yeah, that doesn't look too bad. Yeah, something like that. All right, do we see anything I missed? Usually find at least something I missed. If not, oh, we see we're going to do a little extra work to her hair, so let's try maybe the 70%. Just add in just a few little streaks and squiggles to her hair here. You can follow that up with the 50. There we go. Already looks better. All right. So I think that's got it. Oh, thanks for coming back, Floor. Good to see you, Unbop. Thank you, Dutch. Yeah, this one was fun. First time drawing her, but definitely won't be the last, I don't think. I enjoyed it. So this one just needs a signature. There we go. So there's Cara Dune, and I think we'll finish up with a Baby Yoda. And I'm going to do like a super cutesy version today.